Get your tinfoil hats at the ready. It's time to speculate. Hello everyone, Tommy here and welcome back to another video. First off, I'd really like to apologise because I have got a really blocked nose, so if I sound monotone or ill during this video, that's because I am. I'm not feeling too good at the moment, but I really wanted to get this video out for you guys, so I decided to record it anyway. So, sorry in advance for sounding like death. Now, with the release of Legion on the horizon, I want to take a step back for a minute and look a little further into the distance. Yes, I'm talking about the end of Legion and how that will take us into the future. So I'm looking at the end of Legion because, as of recently, in the last two expansions, the last patch has had a direct link to the next expansion. BC and Wrath were both born via the RTS, with Warcraft 2 and 3 being directly linked to these expansions. Cataclysm and Mists were the only expansions which didn't seem planned out in terms of a time frame, as in they weren't derived from the RTS games, and they didn't lead on to another expansion in a smooth progression. However, recently they have continued the narrative of the story via the last raid tier, as Siege of Orgrimmar led on to Warlords of Draenor, and Hellfire Citadel will lead on to Legion. So I think it is safe to say that the last raid in Legion will have something to do with Expansion 7. We all got something to cheer about when the patch cycle was announced at the Legion Summit. Tier 19 at 7.0 with the Nighthold raid and the Emerald Nightmare raid, Tier 20 at patch 7.1 and Tier 21 at 7.2 have been confirmed, with Blizzard saying that the next 3 patches are well planned out, so there is a potential for a 7.3 patch. With 3 patches to play with, I think we have plenty of time to close off a lot of story arcs and lead on to the next expansion. So, going along with the idea that the last raid in Legion will be directly linked to Expansion 7, let's talk about what I think Expansion 7 is going to be all about. So, in the build up to the announcement of Expansion 6, lots of leaks came out about an expansion known as the Eye of Azshara. It featured pirate ships, N'Zoth, Azshara, Naga, Tel Abyb, Kultiras and much more good stuff. Now this leak did not prove to be true, and instead we have Legion, which I'm not dissatisfied with, as it is an amazing step up from Warlords of Draenor and will go a long way to banish the doubts of many players. But I know a good few people were excited to finally see certain aspects of the world that the Eye of Azshara expansion delivered. As the Eye of Azshara is now a dungeon in Legion, I think this expansion should be titled The Dark Below, or something along those lines. I have heard many people say that Legion is the South Seas expansion people were hoping for, but I have a few reasons to think why not. First, islands like Kultiras, Zandalar and Tel Abyb are still left to be explored. We don't know where those bananas are coming from yet. Secondly, while the Broken Isles are in the same ocean, they are slightly further north than what the remainder of the South Seas islands would be. The Broken Isles is more temperate or possibly subarctic, looking at high mountain and comparing it to places like Howling Fjord is, for example. Also, there is no theme of tropical seas in the Legion expansion. We're stuck on land and there are no tropical islands in sight. Also, we don't seem to be dealing with major plotlines such as the Queen Azshara one or N'Zoth here. In the Eye of Azshara dungeon we are dealing with Tide Mistress Athissa instead of Azshara herself, and N'Zoth and Neptulon don't make an appearance either, suggesting that their stories are still yet to be told in a future expansion. So, how do we bridge the gap and get to the South Seas? In a developer interview before the release of Legion, they said that Thaldranath has been scrapped, instead being replaced with something cooler to go to. A few months ago, the strings Troll Raid were data mined from an early Legion build. With Vol'Jin missing in action from the beginning of the expansion, and no clear indication as to where he has gone in the iterations of Legion we have at the moment, it is to my belief that Vol'Jin has gone to liaise with the trolls of the island of Zandalar, ruled by King Rastakhan. Many thought that Zandalar was destroyed after the Cataclysm, but Taoshi says in a quest that the Zandalari helped Lei Shen's army by providing troops from Zandalar. With the Legion posing a threat to Azeroth greater than the Horde and Alliance combined can deal with, the war chief hands his mantle to Sylvanas in an attempt to persuade the great troll empire to fight alongside them both. However, the Prophet Zul, a powerful troll who united the weaker troll clans after the Cataclysm, is not a happy chappy about this decision. With the Horde and Alliance killing many trolls in the raids on Zul Garub, Zol-Aman and Zuldrak, he does not wish to align with them. He sees a bigger and better future for the Zandalari and allies himself with the Legion. He wages war on Rastakhan for not heeding his call about the Cataclysm, saying that Rastakhan is no longer fit to rule over the trolls. So Rastakhan agrees to ally with Vol'Jin, but only if he helps defeat Zul and his fel-infused trolls first, who were living it up on an island off of the Broken Isles. In return for defeating Zul, Rastakhan will send his troll armies to fight against the Legion alongside the Horde and Alliance. I think that Zul's island could be part of a final raid of the expansion. Just like Siege of Orgrimmar was split over 2 zones with the first 4 bosses taking place on Pandaria, I believe that this could also be the case with the final patch of Legion. Be it a raid split over 2 zones or a tier comprising of 2 raids, we will first take on Zul and the fel-corrupted Zandalari, and then move on to slay the final boss of the expansion, who I believe to be the avatar of Sargeras. After a final push, I think Rastakhan will die against Sargeras, entrusting the future of Zandalar to Vol'Jin. And I think this will lead very nicely onto the next expansion, where we will help Vol'Jin and the humans of Kul Tiras in the South Seas against the old god N'Zoth and his underwater armies of horribleness. Now, before this video ends, I'd like to point out another fact which I think backs up my claim that the last patch of the expansion will be troll related and it will lead on to the Eye of Azshara expansion. Warlords of Draenor was the only expansion with no troll content, and I think it's pretty safe to say that Warlords of Draenor was a massive failure, so I don't think Blizzard will make the same mistake again and have no troll content. Everybody loves the trolls. So that's all from me. If you've got any thoughts on the matter, please don't hesitate to leave them down in the description. Also remember to follow me on Twitter, as I regularly post nonsense and previews to videos which I'm going to be uploading. If you haven't already, please do hit subscribe, it really means a lot to me, and as always, have a great day.